I got all those.
Welcome.
Oh shit! Start again.
Mountain, Island, Lightning Bolt, Spellpierce, Switchblade, Stab Wound, Red Mage, Blue Mage.
Welcome, everyone, to Red Mage, Blue Mage. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning. We decided to record in the morning.
On a Saturday.
By we, I mean I suggested this. Like a silly person.
We'll see how that pans out in the long run. So this is Red Mage, Blue Mage, Husky edition.
Yeah, it's like we're both probably got that wonderful morning voice. Also, I was wondering, like, radio shows that do it, like have AM morning shows.
Yeah.
God, I wish we had a soundboard.
Oh, yeah. That's something that we need to have for sure.
So that way you could be like, poo, 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 poo.
Pew, 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 pew.
Welcome to Red Mage, Blue Mage, AM. Something like that.
Well, we've got you, so we kind of don't need that.
That's very true. I did make up a really good song yesterday.
No, let's not talk about it.
Peep, pop, poom, pom, pom, peep, pop. Wait, I'm singing a Mario song. Never mind. Maybe I didn't make that song up. Maybe I just thought I was making up a new song.
Maybe you just stole a song, I think is what you're trying to say.
Maybe.
Okay, well, let's get into the show proper with picking some cards. What do you think about that? You didn't pick cards.
Oh no!
You are the worst. The worst.
How can you do this show with me? I must be the most aggravating and frustrating co-host that you've ever. I mean, I don't know if you do any other podcasts.
I mean, by definition, you are so.
Because I'm the only one that you co-host a podcast with.
That's your saving grace. I don't have any means of comparison.
Okay, how about this? You do show and tell and show me 3 cards.
So how about we do this? I have my cards picked out for this topic. We can talk about it, and the topic is the worst keywords, the worst mechanics in Magic. And I'm imagining that you will have things to say and ideas to put forward anyway.
Yeah, of course. I always have those.
Okay, so let's start with, I guess my number 3 pick is Orzhov Pontiff from the original Ravnica block. So when I was sitting down to think about the worst mechanics, the first place I looked was all the Ravnicas. Ravnica, the Return to Ravnica, the Return to Ravnica, because they always have a new mechanic for each guild. So each set comes with 10 new mechanics. And so with so many being thrown out there, some of them are going to be clunkers. So Orzhov Pontiff is 1 white black for a 1/1 creature, a human cleric. It has Haunt. And the reminder text says, when this card is put into a graveyard from play, remove it from the game haunting target creature.
What does that mean?
And then when Orzhov Pontiff comes into play or the creature it haunts is put into a graveyard, choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, or creatures you don't control get -1/-1 until end of turn.
Let me try.
The keyword is haunt.
Let me try to put this together. So
yes.
Oh, my Pontiff died. I get to choose a creature that's on the battlefield to haunt. Any creature. Okay.
Yep.
And then if the creature dies or is put into a graveyard, I get to choose creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, or creatures you don't control get That sounds like not that great of a payoff, like a short payoff for something that hurts my brain.
Exactly. Like, now this is a rare, so it's okay for it to have a lot of text. But this was also on common creatures that had just as much text. And they would do all kinds of different things. Some of them only happen when the haunted creature dies. Some of them happen when it ETBs or the creature dies.
My problem is
like,
there is no guarantee there's going to be creatures out on the battlefield when this creature dies. So for me, what would be more fun is if it targets a creature and says it's haunted. I think it would be more beneficial if it was like target player loses 1 life or gets a haunted token or something.
Yes.
Or something that...
Or if it came out today, I think a cool way to do the haunt mechanic would be make it double face, and the backside is an aura that goes onto a creature.
I think it would be fun also. Yeah, I think I like the aura stuff, but I also like things like poison toikens. Oh my god.
Poison toikens?
Poison toikens.
Makes you toiky poiky.
Oh boy. So poison tokens are fun in that, you get 10 or whatever, you die. I think haunted or despair tokens would be fun too. And what a good thing to use despair would be in the scary Bloodborne set. The Innistrad.
Yeah.
Because then it'd be like, I would see
then you
haunted,
turn it to true gothic horror.
Yeah, I would say haunted makes more sense to me thematically in Innistrad, and I would replace it with a +1/+1 choose target creature. I think that's cool. I think that is cool, but you would target another creature on the other player and opponent's, and then if that creature dies, you get a haunted token, and the haunted token or a despair token or something. That to me is more fun because more thematically makes sense, and also there is more of an incentive to haunt creatures because it could hurt the target player. I don't care about pumping up my creatures using haunted mechanic.
Right. I mean, so obviously this one I picked just because it's so confusing. And like you said, the amount of words and brain processing is not worth the payoff of the mechanic. Yeah,
I think it's just more math at the end.
Yeah.
And what for me, I think the reason why the token aspect helps me out with this haunted thing is just because I don't know, it's not the end I have to do +1/+1 on a creature. I just give a token to a player, and you have a physical piece that you can see is accumulating. So that's my take on haunted. Boo. I think it has a fun idea, much like most of the keywords usually have fun ideas to them. It's just not executed in a way that I think is interesting or engaging.
Yes, I completely agree. I think it could have been cool, and I hope that someday, not that they return to haunt, but they try to do a better version of it.
Yeah. They can do, I don't know.
Spooky.
No. I don't know. What's another thing you could do?
Like possession?
Yeah. Or like chaos, or like, I don't know. I guess if it's an Eldrazi set, you could kind of do Nightmare or something. Yeah,
exactly. But anyway, that's my number 3. Let's go on to my number 2 pick. It is Stratus Dancer. That's the card, but the mechanic is Megamorph. Stratus Dancer is 1 and a blue for a 2/1 flying creature, a Gen Monk. It has Megamorph for 1 and a blue. So what Megamorph means is you may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 mana, turn it face up anytime for its Megamorph cost, and put a +1/+1 counter on it. When you turn it face up, counter target instant or sorcery. Thoughts?
Oh, is it just because it's the morning and my brain isn't fully awake, or does this seem really convoluted?
Well, yes, it does. So Morph as a mechanic. Morph is the original mechanic that Megamorph is based off of. And essentially, Megamorph reads exactly the same, except when you turn it face up, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Again, I like the idea of it. It's like a trap card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like you put this down, and then it's like, you fit into my trap and dispel. I get the spirit of it, but for me, my mind already is like, I need to put this in a 1, 2, 3 bullet point list so that I understand how this card works. So basically, I have to pay 1 and a blue to cast it face down. Is that how that works?
No.
I pay 1 and a blue.
3.
No, face down.
Yeah.
How do I get it on the battlefield?
You can either play 1 and a blue and it's face up, or you pay 3 of any color, and it's face down.
And then I have to turn it over. What's the point of having the 1 blue up at the Stratus Dancer part? You can just play it face up if you want to.
Yeah, like, let's say you just need a 2/1 flyer out in the battlefield. You have that option. You would almost never do that, but...
Also, look at this. Look at these leggies. I love these leggies.
I do too, yeah.
These dancing goblin leggies. I guess it feels pretty silly. So you pay 3 of any color. You play it face down. And then when... I'm like, you go to do something. You go to play, like, I don't know, what's the growth spurt one? Rampant growth. And I'm like, no, sorry. That's down, so I wanted to blow. Comes over, and then I get to put a +1/+1 on it, and it also targets instant or sorcery spell.
Yeah. So, I mean, Morph, because so far we're mostly just talking about Morph. Morph is a mechanic that, I agree, when you read it on first blush, or the first time you run into Morph, you're like, what? How does this work? How can this be fair? People can just play things from their hand face down. You just have to trust that they're actually Morph creatures under there. The mechanic itself actually plays much better than that. It's a great mechanic. It's a beloved mechanic, and they've come back to it several sets.
What's the difference between Morph and Megamorph?
The +1/+1 counter. That is the only difference. And that's why this gets one of my bottom mechanics, because it's so unimaginative.
I think yeah, that seems silly. But also another thing to me that seems kind of what I would want from a UX perspective, and I don't think they'll ever do this because they're so set in their like ways. But like as a new player reading this, or even just me who's mediocre at best, like when I see all these costs everywhere, I get very confused. And so I'm like, wait, do I have to pay 1 in a blue to even just put this onto the battlefield?
Right.
And then I have to pay 3 to make sure it's face down. So my first instinct is that I have to pay 5 total to get this out there. Right. Because I see the top right hand corner's cost, and I'm immediately like, I have to pay that because I have to do that for everything else. But I have to read the text below that says, no, actually, pay 3 to pay this face down. I almost want there to be like a thing up top in the right that says, like,
with
face down cost that has 3 colorless, and then a slash, and then the 2/1 that says face up. You could do like a little face with an arrow and a little face with a down symbol or something. Because
or they have, like, with the transform cards, they have a little reminder tab at the bottom corner that shows you, like, its power and toughness or the name of the card that's on the flip side. That'd be cool to, like, have that down at the bottom with 3 and then 2/2.
Yeah.
Just to remind you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this kind of card is always strange when the mana cost, you know, the place you look to see, what do I cast this for? If you play this card for that cost, you're almost certainly doing it wrong. That's not good.
Yeah.
UX.
Yeah, well, and then also just like, I don't know, I wouldn't fuck around with this.
Yeah, Megamorph was just lame. The idea of Morph is a great one. A creature that you don't know what it is, and it could become anything. And so when you hear, oh, the new set has Megamorph, I could guess at what that might be. I was like, maybe a Megamorph card, you can go search for any other card with Megamorph and turn it into that, or swap places with each other. But it doesn't.
Or you have two phases of morphing.
Right.
You know, it's like Majin Buu.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This reminds me a little bit of, do you remember the persist mechanic?
Yes, I don't like it either.
Yeah, when a creature dies, it comes back with persist. It comes back with a -1/-1 counter, unless it already had a -1/-1 counter. That did okay. That wasn't the most popular mechanic. Then in Innistrad, they came out with Undying, which is exactly the same thing, except it's a +1/+1 counter, and that was a very popular mechanic. And so they were like, the lesson that Wizards took from that was, people don't want that kind of drawback. Like, they want a little bit extra on top of it. I think Megamorph was their version of that for Morph. They're like, what if we just throw in a little extra? And it was received pretty poorly. I don't like it. And again, I think it's just like, there's no imagination here.
I think it's it's an interesting take on human, like an interesting read on human psychology, like, and especially in games, like what will resonate with the majority of who that target mechanic is for. Because definitely I personally don't care about things like this that make me do loopy loops and hoops de whoops and jumping through things and remembering things. I don't remember things. And so mechanics like persist or undying or morphing, I don't like morph. It's just like, it just feels unnecessarily convoluted to me. But that's just me and my brain. So it's like, if you're going to make people do a dance for something, it's got to be worth that dance. And there's also got to be a very strong thematic tie-in as well. It makes sense why I would do this dance in the first place. And it resonates.
Absolutely. Yeah, you think about the werewolves from Innistrad with the transforming mechanic. That was complicated, but it was so worth the payoff of, I actually have a human that under the right conditions transforms into a werewolf. Like, that's thematic and cool, and you want that. Yeah, it's complicated. You got to track things, but the payoff is there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just to put it out there, like, I have that transforming Chandra that I love to get her set up. It's a fun condition to try to make happen, and sometimes it's pretty easy, especially when you're a red player, but also it's just like a satisfying setup. And it's not very complicated because you're only looking to do 3 total damage, and she can do 1 herself, so it's like you could do it, but it's just enough to be like, ooh, I'm clever.
Yeah, it's a little mini game.
Ooh, I feel so smart.
I'm a clever.
That's my planeswalker. That's my persona as I sit down at the table to become a planeswalker doing these casting spells, like in the Magic the Gathering novels. I pull up a table and I sit down with my sack of spells and I go, hoo-hoo, I'm clever. But not for Megamorph. I don't care. Let's move on.
Yeah. All right, so my number 1, and I thought about this for a long time, and when I picked this one out, I was like, this is easily my number 1 worst mechanic. It is legendary sorceries. So the card that I'll read to demo this is Jaya's Immolating Inferno. It's a legendary sorcery. What does that mean? It's X red. You may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. It deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets.
Okay, why don't you like it?
I don't like it because if I put this card away, ignore this card for a second. If I told you there's a new mechanic in the newest Magic set, legendary sorceries, what would you think a legendary sorcery does?
Well, it has to be tied to legendary creatures.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, you can't take that knowledge away from me.
Yeah.
So asking me this is silly.
Sorry, I should have opened with, what do you think it does?
Well, no, because I already know legendary sorceries. I have this card in my commander deck.
Right. Here's my issue. A legendary sorcery, in my head, what is a legendary anything in Magic before legendary sorceries? Well, legendary permanent means it happened, it's unique, right? It's unique in the multiverse. So that's why you can only have 1 copy in play at a time.
Yep.
So in my head, I would think a legendary sorcery would either, you can only cast a card with that name once per game, or you can only have 1 copy in your deck. Something like that.
Sure.
And so this, A, goes against my expectations. But B, saying you can only cast it if you have a legendary creature, a planeswalker, that doesn't feel legendary to me. That doesn't feel super cool.
Who's going to be casting these legendary spells, Kenny, if not a legendary creature or planeswalker?
I mean, I don't know. It's just, these should be super flavorful, right? Because it's this spell cast by this one person this one time. And so what? If I have a legendary, if I have a frickin' Tybalt, he's going to cast Jaya's Immolating Inferno. If I have a legendary bear, it's going to be casting Karn's Temporal Sundering. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I think I don't know why you chose this as your number one.
It just doesn't turn my crank.
Okay.
I feel like so to me, again, this feels like their answer to a previous mechanic that didn't quite work. In the Kamigawa block, they had epic spells, a cycle of them, one for each color. And an epic spell, the way it worked was when you cast it, you cannot cast any other spells from your hand for the rest of the game. And instead, every turn, you get a copy of that epic spell. It just keeps playing over and over again.
Okay.
And that sounds maybe kind of cool in concept, but then if you think about it or if you play with it, it's like, oh, so I just don't make decisions anymore after I cast this spell.
Yeah.
It's not that cool. But it was trying to get across that idea of this epic spell. And legendary sorceries to me are trying to do that same thing, and they just don't get there for me. It's like, instead of being like some unique cool thing, it's just like, oh, there's this requirement I have to have that's actually not too hard to get. I don't know. I need more. I want more.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I have nothing to contribute in this matter because to me, I see this and it just makes sense. Like, I don't care that if a fucking unicorn, an angel, decides to cast Jaya's Immolating Inferno.
Or like the legendary squirrel.
Because honestly,
Kaldheim.
I'm the planeswalker in this situation and I'm channeling Jaya's Immolating Inferno through a boar. I don't care.
Fair enough. I was actually listening to a podcast recently, and they were talking about MTG's new Universes Beyond thing, where they're gonna do Warhammer and Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
And they were talking about, are you upset by it? And they're like, not really, because I already do things like put boots on a squid and have my bird carry a sword. So it's like,
or like get 15 scrolls from an Eldrazi or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's not the worst.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's.
So I hear what you're saying.
I think if they try to limit it to just Jaya, like only Jaya, you have to have a legendary planeswalker out there. I don't think it would work.
I wouldn't like that either.
It's too confining.
My guess, the way that legendary sorceries came about, I bet they tried what I just suggested first. I bet they tried playtesting. You can only play with one copy, or you can only cast this once per game, and it just didn't play very fun. Mm-hmm. And this, I'm sure plays more fun than my idea. And the play always has to trump any other concerns.
Yeah.
But that's my list. There is no other list, so we're just gonna have to say that's just
fine,
the ultimate
but
list.
I'm gonna modify this list, and I'm gonna say legendary sorcery is number 3, and haunt is number 1.
All right, that's so your top 3 list is my list rearranged.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So I'm glad I did my homework.
I'm glad you did too. Now, this is very fortunate the way this worked out. So you didn't do your pick a card. You've been bad. And so you need to be punished.
Okay. Are you gonna...
It's time for a quiz.
How to train your goblin. Oh gods, I'm so old and tired.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know, hack into my bank account and take all my money.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good punishment too. Frame you for murder.
Oh my god, all my $20, and also I'm going to jail for a murder.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Quiz me.
Okay. The quiz today is Magic the Gathering jargon, slang.
Like in the actual world, or like in games, like you're playing the game.
I'm not sure I understand the distinction.
Jargon.
These are words that Magic players use.
Okay, there we go. That's what's like at the table, you're saying stuff to other people playing the game, Or is it in jargon world stuff, like in the cards and flavor text and like the lore?
No, not in the cards.
Okay.
These are things that Magic players would say to each other.
All right.
So here's how this quiz is going to work. I'm going to give you a term, and I want you to give me the definition that you think it has.
All right.
And we'll see how you do.
Okay.
We're going to start easy. We're going to work our way up, and then there's going to be a special bonus round.
Oh my god.
Yes. Okay. So let's start nice and easy, all right?
All right.
Your first word is cantrip.
It's a spell.
So any spell is a cantrip.
I don't know. You're saying this is easy? Like I have
Yeah, this is easy.
I have a Dungeons and Dragons knowledge, and it's just like a really like easy spell that you don't have to pay anything for.
Yes. So you're on the right track, and that's why it's called a cantrip. So a cantrip is a spell that has the word draw a card tacked onto it as an additional effect. So think of things like ponder, Gitaxian probe.
Sure, I'll think about those things.
So any spell that has at the end or somewhere in it, draw a card, that's a cantrip. And so it's like you're saying, it's a spell that's free to cast. So I play a card and I get a card back. It's kind of free.
Sounds like a half a point to me.
Okay, I'll give you 1/2 point.
Thank you.
Next, the nuts or nut draw.
This is supposed to be easy? Are you grabbing your balls when you're playing Magic? Because this doesn't sound right.
The nuts or a nut draw.
I fucking don't know. You got an acorn in there? You got a squirrel in there? It's something that's not good? Like something you draw, it doesn't help you?
All right, so I think I'll amend this. If you're not quite there, I'll also use it in a sentence.
Use it in a sentence, god damn it.
This hand is the nuts.
Is nuts good? When I say nuts, I usually don't mean in a good way. I give up. I'm done.
So it's the opposite. It is the ideal opening hand. If this hand is the nuts, then it's great.
Next question, please.
Okay, next one. Outs or playing to your outs.
These are not easy. These are words I have never fucking heard before, ever. I thought you were going to be like, floop the pig or something. I don't fucking know.
Okay, boy, I'm in a bad situation here, but I need to play to my outs.
I don't know.
It's a way for a losing player to get back into the game.
That doesn't sound like that at all. Next question. I'm getting angry.
Good. Wooburg.
What?
Wooburg.
Spell this word.
W-U-B-R-G.
Oh, is it the colors?
Yes, that is correct. A full point to you.
When you said that, I spelled it in my head. W-O-O-B-E-R-G.
Yeah, that's how it's said. So yeah, if you hear someone say, this card costs Wooburg.
It's every...
That means...
Yeah.
That's right. Or Progenitus costs double Wooburg.
Why wasn't this the first question?
I mean, I basically listed it in order of... I mean, I have to go by my own judgment, right? So I'm putting these in order of ease to my mind, but that's not going to match yours. All right, next one. I think if you don't know this one, I think you can puzzle it out. RTFC.
RTFC. Really thick fucking calves?
That is correct. A full point to you. How did you guess?
I was just touching my legs. RTFC. Ridiculously tight foot callus. I don't know.
This is read the fucking card.
I like mine better.
I also like yours. Okay. How about this one? Alpha Strike.
Are you in a plane?
Nope.
Nope. Have no idea.
This is a good one for you to know because this is your style of play. An Alpha Strike is a final all-out attack for a lethal amount of damage intended to win the game that turn. So it's when you finally
I flip all my
F
pins.
it. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I do that a lot.
Okay. I'm going to give you one more here.
You give them all. I don't care. Keep throwing terms at me so I feel like I don't know, an uneducated turtle.
Okay, so speaking of turtle, how about dirtle or dirtling?
Don't do that at the table. That's inappropriate.
So as opposed to Alpha Strike where you're attacking with creatures and trying to win the game, to dirtle is taking game actions that don't have a visible effect on the board and don't directly lead to killing one's opponent. So taking game actions
stuff
that...
like you do.
Exactly.
God.
And this is why it's an important word. So when I make a deck that just dirtles, I'm just moving cards around and drawing cards and putting out defenders that don't do anything, and that's dirtling.
Yeah, okay. That's actually an appropriate name.
Yeah. Oh, I should have put this in my other category. Daubs.
Is it DOBS? I don't know if you could hear it in my voice, but I capitalized every letter.
It is an acronym, but it's also like a little meme language. The actual acronym should be DOB.
Date of birth. Dang.
That's right. That's right.
Ooblet. Baby.
Nope.
Darn it.
It stands for dead on board.
The fuck does that mean?
That means when the board, so you know what the board is, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the battlefield.
Don't condescend. Don't be patronizing me. I can't even talk. I'm so incensed. You know what the board is. Fuck you. Piece of shit.
Well, so
go to hell.
So being dead on board means with the current state of the board, you're dead. If nothing changes, you will die next turn.
Sure.
That's Dobbs, dead on board.
Do you know the board?
All right, this one's great. Prime time.
Steaks are out and sizzling on a grill. It's a prime rib time, baby.
No, this is short for the card Primeval Titan.
I have not know what that mean.
All right, our last regular vocab term, magical Christmas land.
What? Is it just red-green? It's a red-green board?
That's a very good guess, but no, you're not even close. So magical Christmas land is an extremely rare situation where a deck or combo goes as hoped or extremely well. So it's usually used as like a negative, like, oh, you built this deck with like magical Christmas land fantasies in mind. That's not how it's really going to work. All right, welcome to the bonus lightning round.
Where I'm going to get shredded to more little tiny pieces. Okay, I'm ready.
So these are the hard questions. So these are the ones I was looking at this data bank of slang, which is on the MTG wiki. And I took notes of some terms that I didn't know what it meant.
Okay.
So these are 4 vocab terms that I didn't know.
All right.
Your first one, as fan.
Ass fan?
As fan.
Ass fan?
As
Ass
fan.
fan?
As fan.
How do you spell it?
AS
S?
hyphen FAN.
Use it in a sentence?
These cards are totally as fan.
This is not helpful at
No.
all, you piece of shit.
No, it'd be like, you'll see this once per draft as fan.
You'll see this once per draft as fan?
There's a reason I don't know this term.
What the hell is that?
So it is how a booster pack looks as fanned, as spread out.
Jesus.
It's typically used to describe the relative frequency of different types of cards or effects in a given set.
Move on to number 2. I'm incensed.
Number 2, Cheerios.
Just the cards for babies?
Edible cards?
No. Pip pip Cheerio. Good game, sis. It's a shorthand for thanks for the fun time.
I like that guess. So this falls into a category which I think is probably the hardest, which are obscure deck names.
Oh, jeez.
So, Cheerios is a type of deck that plays a large number of 0 mana cost equipment spells, combined with creatures like Pure Steel Paladin,
I would call it
etc.
Spaghettios.
Yeah, so they're called Cheerios because you see tons of zeros on the board.
Okay, that makes sense.
Next up, now, I think you could get this one if you think really hard.
You're real.
David Bowie.
You got a knife in there? You got a Bowie knives in there?
David Bowie.
Oh.
Not Jim Bowie.
Vampires?
You're on the right track.
Is it the reason I said vampires is because it's still about a Bowie knife in my head. Because I'm pretty sure Dracula was killed by a Bowie knife in the book.
What?
Read a book, Kenny.
Okay, so
No.
No, I was going to give you a hint, so
Okay.
I'll hold back until you want a hint.
Okay, hint me.
What is a famous role that David Bowie played in a movie?
Is it goblins? Is it Goblin King?
It's Goblin King.
There. Okay.
So some players use the term, I guess, I've never heard this before, David Bowie to refer to Goblin King.
That's silly.
It is silly, and I don't think it's something that people do very frequently.
I mean, that's like an inside joke with your friends.
Yeah,
It's like me being like, "This is I got a proxy and I made Goblin King as David Bowie," because it's fun and I love the labyrinth.
Right. But I mean, that's how these terms take flight in the first place. For example,
Yes.
our last entry is The Rock. Or Rock. I've also just heard it called Rock. This is one you could never get.
Does it have to do with an artifact?
That is a very good guess, but no.
Does it have to do with the land?
Kind of.
It's not.
It has to do with colors.
It has to deal with colors.
Yeah, so this is a name for one specific color combination. Or more like decks that play this color combination.
What would you do? I feel like it has black in it.
That is correct.
And then the other color I would choose would be red.
That is not correct.
Okay, because the reasoning was lava and hotness and pressure make a rock and coal turn into a diamond. And sometimes you call look at that nice rock you're wearing. That's my...
I like that logic a lot.
That's my logic there. Maybe blue? Because an island... Okay, you got a rock floating in the middle of the ocean.
A rock floating.
Like an island. It's not really floating.
That's not how islands work.
Shut up! It's a rock. It looks like it's floating, bobbing up and down. The waves brushing up against it. The next color would be white, because
No.
What? Green?
You've guessed. You got black right immediately, and then you got all of them wrong after that.
Well, look, I was probably thinking about it too hard. Is it because I don't know. I give up.
All right, so are you ready? It is black-green, so this describes black-green decks. The Rock, short for The Rock and His Millions, a term referencing WWE wrestler The Rock, who always spoke of his millions of fans.
You know what I hate is that the very thought when I first heard The Rock, I was like, it's The Rock. it's the wrestler.
Dwayne
and then I'm
The
like,
Rock Johnson.
No, it can't be. It's just magic. Even though I just came off the back of fucking David Bowie. So I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my goddamn brain, but I should have went with my gut like I always do. Instead, I was trying to be goddamn clever, and that failed me, and now I've learned my lesson, and I'm never gonna try to be clever ever again.
Well, perfect. I think this worked very well as a punishment for your earlier misdeeds.
Well, I feel very not smart.
You feel the fool.
I feel like I got 1.5 points out of a 20-point question there.
Well, I think part of why I wanted to do this quiz, one, there are some terms here that I think it's good to know as a Magic player because it helps to have these ideas concretely in your head. But the other one is that there are just so many of these terms that you would have no chance knowing. I would have no chance knowing.
You don't know that. I could have.
I mean, I do. We
could have had a chance. Shut up.
We just
Don't look at the data. There's still hope for me.
Oh man! All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode.
Okay, fine.
Do you want to do more quizzes in the future?
Yeah, of course. Just because I sound like I'm angry doesn't mean I like guessing things. This is all.
You're a great student.
This is all just a show.
If I were your teacher and I were marking your grade card, I'd write enthusiastic.
Wow. It's like the same thing as when you're like somebody shows you something, you go, "That's interesting."
That's very interesting.
Wow,
you're an interesting person.
Very enthusiastic student.
All right, this is Red Mage Blue Mage. I'm Kenny. You can find me at Wolfmere.
I'm Amber, and I'm at Rocket Orca.
You can find us collectively at Red Blue MTG. Until next time, I'll be representing Counterspell.
I'm wearing a dunce cap. Bye.
Goodbye.